Sa TVKASYON.
Hello, I'm Teacher Melody. Welcome to Fundamentals of Accountancy, Business and Management 2 class. I hope you're having a great time. This is Module 1, Quarter 1 lesson in Fundamentals of Accountancy, Business and Management 2, Grade 12. As an accountancy, business and management student, I'm sure you are curious how multinational companies became successful. One of the reasons of this success is the preparation of the financial documents, which leads to invite more investors and eventually created branches here and abroad. In this video, we are going to learn on how to prepare one of these documents, which is present in running any type of business. In this module, the most essential learning competency is to identify the elements of statement of financial position and describe each item. Prepare the statement of financial position using the report form with proper classification as current and non-current accounts. After working on the activities in this module, you are expected to: Number 1. Identify the elements of the statement of financial position and describe each item. Number 2. Prepare a statement of financial position using the report form with proper classification of items as current and non-current accounts. Now, are you ready? Let's start! Grab a pen because we will have an activity. In your FABM2, you have learned the accounting equation, right? Can you give me the accounting equation? That is correct! It's assets, liabilities, plus owner's equity. Now, on a separate sheet of paper, I want you to identify all the assets, liabilities, and owner's equity of your family. For example, your house and lot belongs to assets. Why? Because assets refers to the family's ownership. Alright, so what are the assets, liabilities, and owner's equity of your family? Absolutely correct! For assets, it can be land, television, and motorcycle. For liabilities, it can be bank loan or borrowed money. For owner's equity, it can be capital for the business and many more. How many correct answers did you get? I'm sure you did great! Again, let us try another activity to sharpen your mind. At the back of your paper, answer these scrambled words. Number 1. What are the two forms of statement of financial position? Number 2. What are the kinds of assets? Number 3. What are the kinds of liabilities? Great job, guys! Let us discuss. First, let us define what are financial statements. Financial statements are structured representation of an entity's financial position, which is balance sheet, and results of its operation, which is the statement of performance. Financial statements are product of the accounting process. Our topic today is one of the financial statements, the statement of financial position. What is statement of financial position? Statement of financial position, also known as the balance sheet. This statement includes the amounts of the company's total assets, liabilities, and owner's equity, which in totality provides the condition of the company on a specific date. Now, let us proceed to the elements of the statement of financial position: assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. It looks familiar, isn't it? What is it? Exactly, the accounting equation. Generally, the statement of financial position follows the accounting equation. Let us now learn what are the elements of the statement of financial position. What are assets? Assets are resources you control that have resulted from past events and can provide you with the future economic benefits. It answers the question, how much the business owns. What are examples of company's assets? Cash, accounts receivables, supplies, equipment. The second element of the statement of financial position is the liabilities. Liabilities are your present obligations that have resulted from past events and can require you to give up resources when settling them. It answers the question, how much the business owes. What are company's liabilities? Accounts payable, notes payable. Finally, the third element of the statement of financial position is owner's equity. Equity means assets minus liabilities. Other terms for equity are capital, net assets, and net worth. It answers the question, how much is left for the business? These elements of the statement of financial position are termed permanent accounts. These accounts are called permanent accounts because their life or usefulness continues throughout the life of the business. We will now move on in the preparation of the statement of financial position. But first, let us classify the accounts into current and non-current accounts. Current accounts are accounts realizable in the normal operating cycle of the business or 1 year. An example of this is the prepaid rent. Why? Because prepaid rent or rent already paid in advance and be consumed in the normal operating cycle of the business. On the other hand, non-current accounts are accounts realizable beyond the normal operating cycle of the business or beyond 1 year. The company's equipment is an example of non-current account. Why? Because equipment is held by an enterprise for use in production or administrative purposes which are expected to be used more than one period. After classifying the accounts into current and non-current, finally, we have come to the very core of accounting, which is to communicate to the end users the financial position of the company. There are two forms of statement of financial position: the report form and account form. This format is the account form. All assets are found on the left side of the account, and the liabilities and owner's equity account are found on the right side of the account. In this lesson, we are going to prepare the report form of the statement of financial position. Report form is usually the form used for submission to government agencies and financial institutions such as banks, other financial institutions, Bureau of Internal Revenue, City Treasurer's Office, and others. You can use any of the form depending on the number of accounts involved in the company. In a report form, the heading specifies the name of the company, the name of the statement, and the date covered by the statement. Assets are listed first, followed by liabilities, and then owner's equity in a vertical position. The accounts are listed accordingly based on the chart of accounts presented in your FABM2 subject. Notice the indentions and alignments of the accounts and its total balances. The purpose of these indentions and alignments is not just an art, but to identify easily the balances of the accounts. Isn't it amazing to learn on how to prepare the statement of financial position? Is the lesson clear so far? I'm sure you are following. It is important to learn on how to create, monitor, and read the statement of financial position because it shows the financial activity of the company. And now, let us check on how well you understood the lesson for today. In a clean sheet of paper, answer the questions flash on the screen. Write only the letter of the best answer. For example, which of the following elements are cash, cash equivalents, merchandise inventory classified? A. Current asset. B. Owner's equity. C. Current liability. And D. Long-term liability. Cash, cash equivalents, merchandise inventory are classified as current asset. Why? Because these accounts represent the ownership of the company. Another example, Sure Fresh Company's total liabilities amounted to 30,000 pesos and its total equity had an ending balance of 50,000 pesos. How much is Sure Fresh total assets? A. 20,000 pesos. B. 80,000 pesos. C. 130,000 pesos. And D. None of the above. The correct answer is B. 80,000 pesos. Remember the accounting equation? Assets is equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. Apply the said equation in solving and you will get the correct answer. Now, let us begin. Which of the following is not an example of current assets? A. Cash on hand. B. Prepaid expense. C. Accounts receivable. And D. Unearned rent income. Number 2. What financial statement reports changes in assets, liabilities, and owner's equity account? A. Statement of performance. B. Statement of cash flow. C. Statement of changes in equity. And D. Statement of financial position. Number 3. Angel's Tutorial Center has an asset amounting to 200,000 pesos. Liability is 75,000 pesos. How much is the owner's equity account? A. 75,000 pesos. B. 125,000 pesos. C. 200,000 pesos. And D. 275,000 pesos. Let's check your answers. Number 1. The answer is letter D because unearned rent income is a liability account. Number 2. The answer is letter D, statement of financial position. Number 3. The answer is letter B, 125,000 pesos. Why? Because you subtract the liability 75,000 pesos from the asset 200,000 pesos. Again, follow the accounting equation. Bravo! You did an excellent job. Keep up the good work. You are now ready to practice your skill on what you have learned about the statement of financial position. Have fun! You only have 10 seconds to answer each item. Number 1. The assets of TMAM is 15,000 pesos and the total equity is 10,000 pesos. How much is the total liabilities? A. 5,000 pesos. B. 15,000 pesos. C. 25,000 pesos. And D. 30,000 pesos. The answer is letter A, 5,000 pesos. Why? Because always remember the accounting equation, assets is equals to liabilities plus owner's equity. Subtract total equity, 10,000 pesos to assets, 15,000 pesos to get the total liabilities of 5,000 pesos. Terrific! Number 2. Current assets is 50,000, non-current assets is 150,000, current liabilities is 10,000, and non-current liabilities is 40,000. How much is the equity of the company? A. 50,000 pesos. B. 140,000 pesos. C. 150,000 pesos, and D. 200,000 pesos. The answer is letter C, 150,000 pesos. Why? Add current assets and non-current assets to get the total assets. Then, subtract the current liabilities and non-current liabilities to get the equity of 150,000 pesos. Very good. Number 3. Which of the following accounts are easily convertible into cash within the normal operating cycle of the business? A. Equity. B. Current assets, C. Current liabilities, and D. Non-current assets. The answer is letter B, current assets. Why? Current assets are accounts realizable in the normal operating cycle of the business for 1 year. Excellent! What are the elements of a statement of financial position? A. Assets, income, and owner's equity. B. Assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. C. Assets, current liabilities, and expenses. D. Assets, non-current assets, and owner's equity. The answer is letter B, assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. Number 5. Cash of 100,000 pesos, accounts receivable of 200,000 pesos, prepaid expense of 30,000 pesos, equipment of 180,000 pesos, and furniture of 20,000 pesos. How much is the total assets? A. 480,000 pesos. B. 500,000 pesos. C. 530,000 pesos. And D. 540,000 pesos. answer is letter C, 530,000 pesos. Why? Because all the accounts are assets account. Simply add all the accounts to get 530,000 pesos as total assets. Fantastic! Did you get 4 or 5 points? I'm sure you did. Congratulations! It really feels good to do things on our own and getting it right. Good job! Have a wonderful day! Keep this in mind that accounting is fun. Let's make a difference. Sulong edukalidad. Thank you for watching.